So I have to say I'm ultimately not really surprised, but still disappointed at the total lack of variety of the weaponry in this game. Like, I've talked about how the weaponry is fun, which it is. I think Bethesda made some good guns. It's just, there's so few of them, really. It's just like in Fallout 4, I remember. Fallout 4 lacked weapon variety completely, so did Fallout 3. New Vegas did have weapon variety, that was one of its strengths. Although I don't agree with others who think that was like a better game. I think it just had pros and cons. That was one of its pros. Its con was that they had an inferior world for sure than Bethesda did. And I still will never forgive Obsidian with their obsession of wanting to end their games the moment you end the main story and you can't continue playing them. They did that crap in Outer Worlds too, and I hated it then just as much as I hated it in New Vegas. To be fair, Bethesda did that in Fallout 3, but then they also learned from their mistake immediately, and when they did the DLC, they stopped doing that. So Fallout 3 with the DLCs did not do that. And then obviously Fallout 4 and all the other games after didn't do it. Anyway, rant from that over. Can I just comment about how I feel like I look like I'm in Dead Space right now? I just love the look of this gun, and also this armor. It makes me feel like I'm in Dead Space right now. The mechanical looking way of the gun and the laser sight just looks exactly how it does in Dead Space. Maybe they ripped it off, it's possible, but I still like it nonetheless. And I like this area of the game too. This is a pretty interesting looking, bleak, desolate area, and these creatures, now I can deal with them. When I first played this game and I did this faction quest in my first playthrough, oh man, I ran from these things. They do insane damage to you. As you'll see, I literally let myself get hit by one because I want to confirm to myself that I can at least live a hit, so I have, a reaction window to recover or get to a safe distance even if I get hit by one of them. Because I'm on very hard difficulty. And I'm on, as I've explained in the past, I'm on New Game. Well, technically for me, I'm on New Game like 11 or 12 now. But it maxes at 10 though. But yes, the difficulty increases with New Game Plus. It maxes at 10 with 50% more damage you take and less damage you do. Effectively meaning that on very hard difficulty on New Game 10, you're playing on the equivalent of like legendary difficulty, as in like Skyrim. Or I don't know if Fallout 4 had legendary difficulty. I think it did, but yeah, you're basically on legendary difficulty, not just master or very hard as it says. But your powers help offset that. I love my powers. But yeah, if you go to New Game 10 on very hard and you're not using your powers, or you just freaking... Now I feel sorry for those morons I read who actually said, oh, I just wanted to get the freaking suit in the ship maxed out. So like idiots, they just went straight through New Game without increasing their powers at all. And as a result, like, you don't get stronger. The suit it gives you is inferior to this suit I'm using now that you can get in the beginning. Like, people don't do it for the suit. They do it for the powers. And I've read people who have not done that. They did not increase their powers before starting over again and again. And as a result, they're playing on a higher difficulty without realizing it, unless they finally have now, and they don't have the powers to offset it some. Because guns and perks alone don't really, like your guns and jetpack alone aren't enough sometimes, especially for these enemies. You really need some of your powers like reactive shield or moon form or void form or ice spike or whatever to be really strong and useful at this point. Even this sense star stuff, this detect life I'm using now is so useful. Anyway, let's get to ranking weapons finally. So the Magstorm I'm using now, I would rank in like one of the top 10, but there aren't many guns anyway, so that's not saying much. I'm using it mostly for looks, because it looks cool and reminds me of Dead Space. Now you've seen the damage, it's not terrible. These enemies I'm fighting are some of the tankiest enemies in the game, just so you know. So that means yes, its damage is still pretty good. It's just not amazing. Also, its ammo is insanely expensive. I'm using the Magstorm also. There's the Mag Shear, which is like the assault weapon variety of it. That one's slightly better. if you judge it based off the damage it does with the rounds per minute it shoots. It's slightly better than the minigun version I'm using, but also it's better because you're guaranteed to unlock the Revenant legendary version of it, which doubles the ammo capacity, basically making it minigun anyway with that mod, and then it also gives it a little bit extra bleed damage. That's useful too. So yeah, the Revenant mag shear is definitely, I think, one of the best guns in the game. Just definitely not one of the top guns though. Now I'm using one of the top guns. The freaking explosive shotgun is ridiculous. Now the downside, I would never, even though I would say it probably does do the most damage per shot maybe, I would never make it the best though, because it kills yourself constantly. Now what I'm about to do here, I just use Moonform, another reason to increase your powers. And now you see I can use it at point blank range. Now that's also only because I have explosive resist mods on my armor. If I didn't have that, as I used to try, even in Moonform I would instantly kill myself. So it's the combination of Moonform and the explosive resist mods on my armor, and also of course the explosive tree, the explosive perk in the combat tree reduces your explosive damage by 25%. Having all of those combined and then using heals is the only way that I found that I can finally survive using that gun at close range. Which is when it's finally much more useful, because then as you saw, I can just use it I can literally combine it with Moonform and just have melee dudes swarm me and just end them much more quickly that way. But yeah, it's still much more useful, and ironically, once you get the explosive mod, the shotgun's not as useful in close range. It's more useful for that, you see it shoots out firework cluster bombs, so it's more useful outside actually. Now the second best weapon, I call it the second best, is the Big Bang, which is, I didn't use it, the two best guns I didn't even use in this video. But the Big Bang's the best, because it's a particle beam shotgun, and unlike this shotgun, it doesn't actually kill you because it's not explosive. But its base damage is really high, and it also gets buffed by 3 of the perks in this game. So shotgun damage buffs its damage, but also laser gun damage buffs its damage, and makes it set things on fire too, and then particle beam damage buffs its damage. I would actually say the Big Bang is the best gun in the game if you're able to actually get a good RNG roll on your legendary gun. I'm only counting default guns and guaranteed legendaries in this video, not RNG. But finally that leads me to the best gun, which is, without a doubt, Eternity's Gate. Or rather, it's the Varun Inflictor, which is what its name actually is for the type of gun. So if you ever get that before you get Eternity's Gate, any of those guns, Varun Inflictor, it's basically the particle beam rifle that you unlock at higher levels, and it's the best gun, for sure. It does the most damage. The most base damage, has a lot of mods, gets buffed again by the laser and the particle beam damage too. And Eternity's Gate makes it the best, I'd say, in the game, because it's a guaranteed locked legendary. Locked meaning it has guaranteed the same legendary effects on it every time. And all 3 of them are great. Well, one's okay. Anti-personal, 10% more damage against humans, which are the most common enemy in the game. So that's okay. The other 2, though, are actually good. Skip shots basically increases its rate of fire every 4th shot. Decent. But then it has hand loading, the volatile rounds, which from my testing are probably some of the best in the game. I don't even think they tend to fail that often, and even if they do, it's so rare that it's not a big deal. It definitely increases the base damage of every shot by 30-ish%, I think. So it's one of the best in the game for sure, and it has all 3 of those, and it's the best, the Varun Inflictor is the best default weapon in the game too, without any doubt. So yeah, and for some reason gaming journalists are saying, if you look it up, at unmitigated violence, so unmitigated violence is the gun that the hunter drops, and Eternity's Gate is the gun that the emissary drops. But unmitigated violence is an Orion type laser gun, which is terrible. Its damage sucks, and its legendary prefixes aren't even that good, so I have no idea why they're claiming that. No, don't listen to the gaming journalist as always. Eternity's Gate is way better than unmitigated violence.